So we think of starting at 4 past, as usual. We certainly need Karsten today, and hi Karsten. I've just summoned you. That worked. But we can also wait a few minutes more, as usual. So I've had a half sound check with Christian before. Can Karsten hear me? I guess so.
I can hear you in principle. I'm in another meeting as well.
Okay,
So
no
give me
worries.
a couple more minutes, please.
Sure. So with no rush intended, we start when you're ready, Karsten. Just say the word.
Okay, it seems we will
Yes,
have a nice and small meeting
right.
this time. And I don't know if you discussed this, but Christian told me that he has Fabian around, so he will be somewhat limited in his interaction capabilities.
Yeah, worst case, listening only. Probably typing can work here and there, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, I already asked for Fabian's address in case he also has contributions to make.
If not today, they'll come in due time. I'm sure of that.
Okay, do you want to do the jazz spiel,
Yeah,
or did you
yeah.
already do that?
No. So let's get started properly. And welcome everyone to this interim meeting of the core working group. I'm Marco Tiloca, my co-chairs are Jaime Jimenez and Carsten Bormann. And being this an official meeting, the not well applies. Get familiar with that if you're not already. It's not only about IPR, it's also and especially about our code of conduct. So be nice and professional with one another. And that said, the only item in the agenda for today is constraint resource identifiers, href. Most of the very recent actions on the GitHub, I guess only from Karsten, to progress the document that we can discuss today. So you want me to share the diff between the editor's copy and
Yes,
the latest
please.
version, right? Right.
So my plan was to have a -13 submitted for this meeting. Of course, that didn't quite work out, but I think except for two things that still need to be done, we have that. So can you increase the point size some more?
Right. Better or even more?
Use the whole screen. Always use the whole screen. More.
Wow.
One more.
That good?
Great.
Okay. Wow.
You can move a little bit to the left, and then
Try
we'll have
so.
it.
I'm sharing a window actually, that's why. But the
Yeah.
first
So
useful thing to share is here.
interestingly, all the changes got focused into two areas. So we have one area that you are showing right now, which adds rules that go beyond the CDDL specification. So the CDDL specification gives you the overall structure, but it cannot express some things. And we already had text about trailing null values. Of course, we could write CDDL that removes those, but this is very, very tedious. So instead, this is in text, but the text is now properly turned into a bullet list. So the first two items are not new. They are just changed so it fits into the bullet list. And there are two new items. One is that we had this discussion about an empty path versus null path. And since both seem to have the same meaning and both actually only consume 1 byte in the encoded CBOR data item, we kind of flipped a coin. And to me, it seems that we are closer to the actual semantics if we do require an empty array here. This fits with the semantics that the empty array has in the CI reference. The path is actually given, it's just empty. So that's what I wrote up here. So if you have an empty path in a CI, this is not about CI references, this is about absolute CIs, then you put in an empty array. So if people want the other side of the coin, I'm totally open to that. This just seemed more consistent to me. So this is number 1, and this closes a specific issue that I have forgotten now. Which one was that?
Well, it's logged in the GitHub history anyway. On the other hand,
Yeah.
Christian supports the chosen side of the coin.
Good. Now, if Meet Elki were listening to me, no, I cannot select the chat. Okay, weird. Okay, so that is the changes in 5.1, and I think I'm quite happy that this is now a list. Oh, sorry, the fourth bullet point. This is the discussion we had about an entirely empty CRI reference, which doesn't seem to be particularly useful. And this is now explicitly ruled out here. So that's not a CRI reference we want to interchange. So that resolves one other item. I think that's item 2 out of issue number 50, and I think the other sub-issues of that issue were already covered, so I made it close the entire issue. If that is wrong, Christian, please reopen it. Okay, so
on the third bullet point, is the null explicitly forbidden or just not even mentioned?
well, it must be represented as the empty array.
Okay, very good. No comments in the chat.
Good. Then let's move to the other diff area.
Yes. Most of it.
So this is essentially the section that Christian provided in the pull request 62 with some editing on my side. So we probably all have to critically read this, but I think we're going to do this anyway when dash 13 comes out. So this lists a number of ways in which a CRI can be invalid, and one of those is it not even being well formed as a CRI, but there are other requirements, and of course it might be using extensions that are not supported by the implementation. And the new thing here in this subsection is that we now have the concept of an unprocessable CRI. Now, at the end of this section, this is actually diluted a little bit by pointing out that you don't have to have code that detects that a CRI is unprocessable for you if you are not actually planning to do the processing that would make it unprocessable. So the duty of checking validity, the last paragraph now on the screen, the duty of checking validity is with the recipients that rely on this validity. And an intermediary that does not use the detailed information might actually be able to process the CRI, even if it doesn't understand a specific feature that is going on in some detail of the CRI. So you might be able to perform reference resolution without actually understanding percent encoded text, for instance. And it's not your duty to check that the CRI is valid according to your subset of the extensions that you implement. And that means that that the consumer has the ultimate responsibility, but also that the producer has the responsibility to create something that actually is interoperable. And that's true for both basic CRIs, where at least we have to check for valid UTF-8, which is already required for checking the validity of the CBOR, and for extensions that might have additional requirements like the minimal use of percent encoded text elements. So I think that is useful to point out that there is no need to actually do excessive checking, in particular if you don't even have the parts that you would need for checking. So we can have intermediaries that check less and kind of avoid ossification by having each intermediary check everything. Okay, so this addresses part of 44, but the rest of issue 44, where we write up what minimal use actually is, that still requires some text to be written. So that's the one big thing that's missing for doing -13. So the interesting part here about unprocessable CRIs is that you can still handle them. I mean, you don't have to blow up all your processing just because you come across an unprocessable CRI. It is just not processable as a CRI by itself. So you should have some code in your implementation that allows you to handle unprocessable CRIs to get maximum robustness. And the text that is now the second on the screen is indicating how unprocessable CRIs compare. They compare a little bit like not a numbers do in floating point implementations, except that we allow CRIs with identical serializations to be treated as identical. We may need to tweak the word serialization here. Okay, so I think that is the biggest new piece here, but it's also something that a sensible implementer would probably have done already. Now, if you scroll in the direction so we can see more of the early text of that section.
Oh, right.
Which is scrolling down for me and scrolling up for other people. You see the little editor's comment here with starting with a so I think Christian was pointing out that life is easier if you don't have indefinite length items in extensions. And I think actually we could go ahead and say CRIs shouldn't be using indefinite length representations at all. So this just, together with some new text that is further down, essentially says don't use indefinite lengths in extensions, so it becomes easier to skip them if you don't understand them. Okay, I think that's all that Yeah, none at all. It would be. It's a bit of a big decision, but I think it's quite appropriate because we are not expecting CRIs to be streamed. I mean, this is not something you would be doing. On the other hand, an implementation that writes an indefinite length array open and then starts processing a path byte by byte, that's not entirely weird. So yeah, let's maybe have a little bit more discussion about this. And the final change is at the end. So if you can scroll up some more or scroll down, depending on which part of the word you are.
This part, right?
Yeah, and even further down, near the end.
Good enough.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So here we have the fix that dots in hostname items, in hostname elements, are not reserved. So normalization will turn back any percent encoding that you might have had there. So it's just not possible to have a dot in the hostname element. So this is now clarified. And the last one we see on the screen is that mandate that extensions should not use, well, must not use indefinite length encoding.
Is it worth mentioning this last point already earlier as a constraint of OCRIs?
Yeah, if we go the whole way and say CRIs are intended not to use indefinite length representation, I think that's fine, and we can remove that here.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, we need to extract a little bit more of item 44, of issue 44. So we have a better description of what a minimal representation is, and maybe do a few editorial small things, and then we have a -13. And from my point of view, that would be ready for working class call.
Good. You expect the new version about very soon or after your your break?
Well, I definitely want to submit it this week. So if we can get a Shepherd write-up done, we might have some overlap of the working class call with my vacation. But yeah, if the Shepherd write-up takes, excuse me, not the Shepherd write-up, the chair's review takes longer than that's not a problem either.
Right. Yeah, I was planning to do another review of this anyway. It may be problematic exactly in the next few weeks because of other deadlines. But yeah, if that one is less urgent, then all good.
I mean, you can do another review during the working group last call. You just need to be fairly sure that this is ready for a working group last call. That there's no need to do this sequentially.
Anything left on the implementation testing side?
Well, that will also need to go in parallel with the working group last call.
And in case you missed it from the chat on the previous topic on extensibility and indefinite length, Christian is also fine with none at all approach.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's in the minutes.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a CBOR weirdness. What CRIs really define is a data model specification, and what representation you actually use in the encoding is kind of a layer below. But saying if you are handing around CRIs on their own, please send them in a definite length encoding. That's a good thing to do. But if it's part of a gigantic data structure like a COSWID or something, actually requiring the CRI item in the COSWID to be definite length encoded is that puts a requirement on the implementation that may be really hard to do, because there may be other things that I mean, there may be an image of the code for a device in that COSWID, so you may have some need for indefinite length encoding for other parts of the COSWID. So it's hard to instruct the CBOR encoder to actually avoid indefinite length encoding for the actual CRIs that are happening in that. So that's why I'm always a little bit careful with mandates like this.
So the remaining issues and one PR, I think they are all about the minimal representation remaining parts and editorial
Yes.
fixes then. Okay.
And
yeah.
and the test vectors. So that
And the test vector. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, and Christian, I suppose you're interested, but will you be available for reviewing this as part of the working group last call? Thank you.
So Chad said yes, just for the people who look at the recording afterwards.
Yep. I'll add it to the minute. I also plan one, if not exactly during the last call, right after, but I'll do my best. Thanks, Karsten, also for the preparation. I think it worked very well, even without slides.
Yeah, I had planned time to make slides, but then the usual things happened.
Of course. So I guess there's nothing else in the diff. Oh, well, you want to mention this?
Oh, right. Yeah. So, hi, Christian. I added you to the contributors. If you do not agree with that, we'll take you out again. And of course, we also have to ask Klaus whether we should continue to use his Ericsson address or whether he wants to be in the contributors at all. So that's something that can be done offline as well. Yeah, so we see a thumbs up in the chat.
Yes, so that. Great. So that concludes the href slot, and as far as I can see, the only slot still at the moment. So anything else? Any point to discuss about core today?
So you could give a quick preview of what we will do in 2 weeks.
There's no agenda items yet, and we'll call for agenda items on Thursday next week. Following up with this, if anything has to be brought up is an option. Otherwise, we may have seed, depending on any progress on that. But I suspect no. But Jaime may have something.
Yeah, just a comment. Like, remember Diana discussion. Like, it could be nice to have an interim session with both with participants from 1M, 2M, and what was the other one? Global platform. Yeah. So to clarify the request, I think it would be very useful also for the working group.
Do you have the link to that request handy, or anything pointing to that?
We have the Ayana requests, but I don't have the contact people. So our contact people for the reviewers is Ayana. So, but I think it was Carsten who will look into the contact people from those groups, right? If maybe I'm wrong, that's my memory. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Actually,
I'm not entirely sure what you're asking me.
Who would be the contact people from Global Platform and from 1M, 2M, those who submitted those requests to Ayana? I don't know if in the last call we agreed to that you already have the contacts, or that Ayana will give us the contact information.
Well, I have contacts. We have to find out whether these are still the right contacts.
And I'm sure that, I mean, maybe I know them, I just don't know who they are, to be honest. I don't know who is in
Okay.
those organizations.
Yeah, I can send you the list.
Then we could just send an email to those people and try to ask them to present the request on Ayana, the ones they have sent per email, and then we can discuss them and clarify them.
Yeah.
I think that could be also an interesting session. What do you think?
Oh.
Yeah, that might be done in an off meeting call, just informally, or in the interim. Let's find out with the people. Again, this has been around for a while, so we first have to check whether they are even the right people to discuss this in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on any other topic you may want to discuss in 2 weeks? Well, that can be one for sure. Okay, hearing none, then let's give everyone back roughly an hour of time. Thanks a lot for today. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.